let's talk about varnishes. There are two main types of varnishes, the water-based acrylic varnish or solvent-based varnish. Water-based acrylic varnish is relatively cheaper and it's easier to work with. Solvent-based varnish has cheaper and more expensive options. The most expensive could be this. This is an MSA varnish. This is a professional artist varnish. This one provides extra protection against light exposure because if you don't varnish your prints, they will eventually fade because of the light, sunlight, UV light. This is a UV protecting varnish. This one is expensive. You might also need to use some protective mask because these might be toxic. Let's see what it says. It says with skin contact, ingestion, and breathing vapors. Yeah. But like I said, against the UV light, this gives the best protection. There's a cheaper option here. This is a hobby varnish again. You also have a very cheap option, nail polish. I started with this actually, but I prefer water-based acrylic varnish because this also gives good protection against UV light, but the best protection against UV light and water. By the way, solvent-based varnish isn't good as acrylic varnish against water. So the best way to protect your figures against whether UV light or water is to keep them safely stored when you're not playing with them. If you leave them carelessly lying around, eventually they will have their colors fade no matter what you do, or they might get accidentally damaged. This varnish is good to protect against light and water when you are assembling your figure and you're playing. Now I'm going to show you how to apply both varnishes. Let's start with the water-based varnish. So here's my print. I will just some amount on the brush and try to spread it to the whole print, trying not to deposit excessive amount of varnish on a single spot. So to do that, I pour the varnish on top of the brush, but I don't turn it around. I try to apply the varnish little by little. I'm not pressing, I'm trying to spread it out as much as I can. Try to apply it in one direction. I feel like the downside of the brush used all its varnish, so I can turn this around and keep applying the rest. When I think I'm done, I'm gonna check if I missed any spot by shining some light on the varnish. If I see any part not shining, that means I didn't apply, I missed the spot. So I'm gonna apply some there and leave it to dry. Okay. You can also use a bigger brush, but these tend to become more and more expensive as they get bigger and bigger, so it depends on your budget. By the way, if you're gonna varnish just one figure sheet, use some mid-sized brush because this could be harder to control on such a confined space. For the whole A4 sheet, this is better, but for a single figure sheet, this middle-sized brush is actually better. Now let's try to clean the brush, because if we don't, then this varnish will dry on the brush and it will be much harder to clean. Let's put our tracing paper to protect our table. Okay. Let's solve the excess varnish on water. All right. And dry it up with a paper towel. Well, yeah, okay. Great. We're done. When you're working, keep some water handy because you don't want to go to bathroom to clean the brush every time. Now let's talk about solvent-based varnish. I'm going to use a Q-tip because I don't want to deal with cleaning the solvent from a brush. First of all, if I use a brush to varnish with a solvent, I cannot actually use that brush later for anything else, being it gluing or water-based varnish. I have this old brush here. I tried hard to clean this completely, but to no success. And as you can see, it became rather hard. So I figured out a different solution, which is Q-tips. You just dip it lightly. Okay. And again, try to spread it out as best as you can with tiny, very slight touches, because depositing all the varnish in one spot and then trying to spread it out on paper is very inefficient. You just end up with a lot of varnish on one spot and not enough varnish on other parts. Just spread it out like that. Okay. Let's see. We have even now we have some excess here. Yeah. Check it against light. See if you miss a spot. This is again a matte varnish, but this doesn't leave any glossiness at all, so it looks almost like not varnished when dry. There are gloss variants out there you can buy as well, so it's up to your personal taste. Don't leave these containers open for an extended time because they dry up. Now the best thing about Q-tips. Where's my scissors? Here. Okay, I use this side. So what am I gonna do to clean it up? Nothing. All right, I'm gonna just throw this part out and keep this end to use later. So that's all for varnishing. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.